One of the things that I wish I knew sooner is just how important your mindset is. Your mindset has groundbreaking effects on everything ranging from your business, your relationships, as well as your overall quality of life and happiness. Welcome back once again to Sundays with Josue, episode 5, a live show where we discuss business and mindset on a weekly basis with the hopes that this show will serve as inspiration as well as motivation for future generations of entrepreneurs. So, today we're going to be discussing three things that I have done within my own life to go ahead and increase and improve my personal mindset. And these three things have actually resulted in very large enhancements into my overall quality of life as well as my business. So I'm super happy to be back here once again on this Sunday evening with you guys, and I hope that everyone watching live as well as those watching the replay gets immense value from this. I'm going to go ahead and adjust one of my cameras here, and then we can go ahead and dive right on in. Alrighty, Sorry about that delay. I wanted to go ahead and make sure that one of the cameras was correctly in shot there. It was popping up as showing a bit of an issue. And give me one quick second to go ahead and adjust my mic and go ahead and we can dive right on in. Perfect. So, what has been going on as of recently that makes me want to talk about this topic? Well, there's been a number of positive developments that have occurred within my business and within my personal life. And one of the main primary differences between the state I'm in now compared to even 90 days ago is primarily my mindset and my actions. So I wanted to go ahead and give this presentation to discuss my journey and to hopefully give you guys value and actionable steps that you can use to go ahead and help you guys along your journey as well. So the first thing that I had to do is to be brutally honest. So to be frank and candid, where I am currently in regards to my aspirations, in regards to what I aspire to do, in regards to my overall potential, I'm grossly behind schedule. And that is something that I've had to come to terms with and admit that was a failure on my behalf. I think that as humans, we reject having to embrace and accept our own failings, even when we're aware on a subconscious level that it may be present. However, to move forward and to move effectively, we have to currently understand where we are in the immediate term. There's a great presentation by the entrepreneur Nick Peterson that discussed the GPS effect. And his analogy is that if you were to use Google Maps, for example, and you started your GPS and it told you where to go and how to get there, but it didn't base it upon where you currently were in the immediate tense, you would be irate, you'd be upset. You would say to yourself, this GPS is not working properly. Well, in regards to navigating and being the GPS and guidance for our own lives, it's much the same way. We have to first get an accurate understanding of where we are in the present tense, and then from there, we're able to move forward with the steps being to be mindful of. So, after taking a very honest assessment within my own self, I then had to ask, well, why did I fail? What was it? And for myself personally, it was lack of focus. I was presented with a plethora of different opportunities, both social and personal and financial. And these things distracted me from my primary objective, which is in current to do my first deal, an acquisition, to buy my first insurance agency, to allow me to subsequently purchase others in the future, increase cash flow, net worth, etc., and leverage those things into allowing me to make a grand impact for the mental health community at large. That's the current objective and the current methodology in regards to achieving that end goal. So to that end, I had to be honest and say, well, these other things distracted me, and that's why I'm not currently further along the timeline compared to where I want to be. So the second thing I had to ask myself, and I would encourage you to ask yourself as well in regards to self-reflection and self-assessment, is where am I now? If you're thinking in regards to personal income or your business, well, where are we right now in regards to our key performance indicators, our KPIs? Where are we right now in regards to our overall client retention, our customer satisfaction, etc.? So for myself, I had to take a look at my financials compared to where I am now, compared to where I was a year ago, and have a candid conversation with myself to realize that I'm not where I need to be, nor should be, based upon the opportunities available to me, as well as my overall potential. And then from there, an even more important question of, well, how did I get here? What actions have I been taking or not taking on a daily basis to put my life in the current state that is in? That's one of the harder questions, because that question assumes full accountability. Where you are right now and where I am right now is due to my own actions. And taking inventory of those actions will allow you to move forward, and has allowed me to take accountability and move forward. So then the next question I had to ask myself, well, where is it that I want to go? And more importantly, what will it take to get there? So I discussed how I want to acquire an insurance agency and do my first deal in the mergers and acquisitions market. And I had to be very candid with myself and realize that, hey, most likely I'm going to have to make some sacrifices in regards to social life, in regards to finances, in regards to time, and to allocate my resources appropriately to allow myself to have the potential to allow this deal to come to fruition, which is of paramount importance to me personally, but also for my other aspirations in the future. So this reminds me actually of the 10x rule, that oftentimes whenever taking on rather a grand aspiration, oftentimes it's frequently a lot more difficult than we initially assume. We assume that maybe it will take 500 hours to do. Maybe it takes 5,000. We assume it takes only 100 cold calls. Maybe it might take 1,000. And just that understanding for myself, and really being honest with myself, that for my aspirations, I'm going to have to focus harder than I ever have before, because I'm doing something I have never done. And additionally, I'm going into a environment that is novel to me, and additionally one in which I don't have extensive experience. However, I do have strategies in place, notably the dream team and the board of directors and advisors, to supplement and augment my weaknesses to allow us to still move forward in an efficacious way. But these things, anything novel, typically is uncomfortable. And in order to achieve anything great in an uncomfortable setting, it does require immense amount of effort and massive action. So the next thing I had to do is simply recommit myself to the path. And commitment is an act, not a word. This quote of commitment is an act, not a word, is one that is so deeply resonating with me. Because up until this point, I had made my goals and intentions very clear from the perspective of what it is I have said I wanted to do, what it is I have set out to do, etc. However, in regards to my actions, up until now, my actions, my sacrifices, or lack thereof, were not congruent. So one of the things that I'm coming to really understand about commitment is the importance of not only just saying you're committed to a particular endeavor, etc., but also truly taking the action and putting yourself in a position where you really are committed. And what I found is that through taking action and being committed to the process, whatever it may be, you end up gaining a lot of momentum, which allows you to be more committed even more easily, at which point typically you find results and you're able to double down on your efforts. And then, so in regards to that commitment, so what did I have to do to recommit myself to the path practically? Well, the first thing is I simply slowed down my life. I made time. I think that one of the most common things that people say in regards to any endeavors, I don't have enough time. However, I would argue you don't make whatever it is you're trying to achieve enough of a priority to make time for it. Because if you were in a circumstance where if you were to make time for that one activity, you would gain overnight $1 million, or perhaps if you did not make time for a set activity, one of your loved ones would be in jeopardy. I can almost guarantee you that you would find a way to make time. So for me, I had to acknowledge the fact that it wasn't that I didn't have time, but that I wasn't making it enough of a commitment and making sacrifices elsewhere in my life to allow myself to achieve what it is I desired. So I slowed myself down and I made time to reflect. I made time to meditate on what it is I'm trying to achieve and what it is I'm trying to do, and to give myself to be honest with that. From there, I was able to clarify my vision. And the reason why I have in parentheses continual process is that your vision is an ever growing and ever changing thing, in my opinion. When you set out to start a new business endeavor, a new entrepreneurial adventure, a new philanthropic adventure, etc., you have to in real time, assess what's going to happen within yourself as well as the surrounding areas, etc. And oftentimes your vision and your goal, you have to pivot. There's great examples of many people who started off with one particular idea who later on they changed. And for me, I've been very cognizant of that recently, that I have to continually remind myself of what it is I'm trying to do, why it is I'm trying to do it. Because as time goes on, you get presented with new data, new obstacles pop up, everything from, financing to gathering a board of directors to putting together your first business plan, etc. In my particular instance, this undertaking has been much more difficult than I thought it would be. However, equally so as rewarding. But for myself, I've had to continually remind myself of my vision, continually clarify it, continually remind myself of why it is I'm doing these things. And then additionally, I committed to my goal with greater intensity and duration than ever before. So I took a month off from, one of the things I do is I run a networking event with one of my business partners, and we host different happy hours and different networking events and like yoga and field days and all these different things to provide a service to the community and to provide people a safe space to come together and make friends and connect and network, etc. And it's grown to be a really great thing. And through it, I have been presented with many different social opportunities, which have been great. However, that takes time, both in regards to hosting the event, putting it together, scheduling it, coordinating vendors, etc., and as well as, the friends that I made through that. So I committed last month, in the month of May, to take a break from being as sociable, going out as much, to instead put that time to working in my business. And what I realized is that not only did I make progress much more rapidly than I have in a long time, additionally, I find myself having more clarity, more ideas, and more motivation to continue working on the business, which is amazing. And then even further, one level deeper in that regard, is the fact that I have now realized that that level of commitment has to be extended over a longer duration. For me to truly actualize my goals and my vision, I'm going to have to do that type of sacrifice for 6 months, a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe two, however long it takes to get the end result of getting the first deal done. Now, after the first deal has been done, subsequent deals will be obviously easier because of a track record and more net worth, et cetera, et cetera. But for the first one, I think that I have recently recommitted myself to abstaining from certain things until we come to the fruition of the goal. And that for me has been something that has really made a huge difference. And additionally, this third thing is what I did is that I built systems and habits to support me in regards to my goal. And one of the first things that I did was my network. Whom it is I hang around with and associate has become something that I'm extremely cognizant of nowadays. And it's actually been a boon when it used to be a bane. And what's amazing about being mindful of who it is you surround yourself with, especially in regards to what you communicate in regards to what you're trying to achieve, is that the people around you should hold you accountable. They should call you out if they see that you're not taking actions that are congruent with your goals. At least the people that I find myself with, they have done a great job of, if I ever have a moment of weakness, if I ever falter, if I ever don't live up to my full potential, they take me aside and say, hey, why is it that you're not doing X, Y, Z when you have certain goals to achieve? And that to me has been invaluable. Oftentimes I find that people are either a anchor in your life or a sail. A sail is someone that can help push you further towards your goals and can help you achieve them easier, quicker, and better, whereas an anchor is someone that drags you down. So for myself, I've been very cognizant of who are sails and who are anchors. And personally, I think that's worth that everyone take inventory of who is in their life and give an honest review of whether they're an anchor or a sail. So that's the first thing, my network. But the network that I have surrounded myself with of people is one of the most invaluable things that I have done. I've talked about in other live streams about things you can do to actually grow your network. And I'll go ahead and try to link a video up here to that particular discussion. Now, additionally, on that note, the live stream for me has served to be a plethora of things. One of the best things that has done for me is that it's held me accountable because I have a scheduled time every week to come and discuss mindset, which for one makes me work on my mindset even more, which is one of the most important things for my particular aspirations and endeavor. And number two, at the end of my live stream, I do talk about my personal business and where we are on the acquisition journey, which for me is invaluable because once again, it holds me accountable, which is super important when you're a sole proprietor, don't have any employees, no one to to answer to, etc. And that's not to say that I don't have enough self-discipline to be self-motivated, to take action, to do the things that I know I need to do, regardless of accountability to someone else or lack thereof. However, oftentimes you don't rise to your potential, you fall to the level of your systems. That's a quote from James Clear in Atomic Habits, and he's is one who studies a lot of human behavior, and he has found over thousands of studies that the most successful people have systems in place to allow them to continue to perform at an extremely high level, regardless of whether or not they feel like it, regardless of whether or not they have motivation, etc. So I've tried to adopt a similar approach with what I do with my own life, and this live stream is one of those ways that I've been doing that. Additionally, one of the most important concepts that I've started to really lean into recently is that of the Northern Star. The Northern Star for me is a goal, an aspiration, a objective that you focus on. That me personally, I look at everything else through that lens. So, for example, my primary Northern Star is acquiring a business within the next 12 months. So when a new opportunity presents itself, when a new idea presents itself, I always think to myself first, well, is this going to assist me or hinder me towards that primary aspiration of my first acquisition? And if the answer is no, it's not going to be a boon, but instead it's going to be a bane, I abstain from it, which has for me made my decision-making process so much easier and has allowed me to become so much more effective these past months, a couple of months. So the Northern Star concept is one that I would encourage people to try for themselves, because for mental modeling and having mental frameworks with how you make decisions is one of the things that I'm coming across in my reading and my research of entrepreneurs who have done it before me, who have done it to great success. Their mental model and how they make decisions not only allows them to, one, make better decisions, but two, it also helps them to make those decisions much, much faster. And time is money, as we all know. So those are the things that I've been doing primarily that have really helped me these past couple months to not only increase my income, but also take massive action, which I'm going to be discussing at the end here in a couple minutes. But once again, to just recap, they were, one, being brutally honest with myself and about where I am, where I'm going, and why is it that I'm not already there yet? Is it my own action? Is it external factors, etc.? For me, it was lack of focus, which I've now fixed. And these past couple months, I have made much more progress than I have in a long time. Number two, I recommitted to the path and my aspiration of what I was trying to achieve and what I still am trying to achieve and what I will achieve. But I did so through actions. I took time, reallocated towards my primary objective, was honest with myself and made sacrifices in other areas where I needed to, and then I moved forward. And number three, I simply built systems and strategies to hold me accountable, to help me perform at a higher level, to help me move faster. And these three things in tandem have allowed me these past couple of months to increase my income, to propel the acquisition process forward at a much faster rate than it has been going in a while. And I have no plans of stopping any of these things. In fact, I plan to add on to those things. So what I'm going to be doing and trying out and trying to measure in regards to a KPI, a key performance indicator of some sort, is first of all, trying affirmations. I've been hearing a lot of different executives talk about the power of affirmations. For myself, I never have been one who has really tried them before. So I'm going to go ahead and try to incorporate that into my daily routine to see if I do have increased motivation, clarity, effectiveness, etc. We'll see. And I'll come back and report upon that later on. Number two is gratitude. That's another thing that I've read a lot of different entrepreneurs speak about, as well as some psychologists talk about habits of the highly successful is that they frequently express gratitude. So I'm going to go ahead and also try that for myself to see if it's efficacious in any way. And then number three, using the Panda Planner. This is a product that I purchased that is purportedly supposed to increase productivity and adherence to systems and strategies. So we'll see. Additionally, ironically enough, it actually does have a section for affirmations in it. So, and also gratitude. So I'm excited to try this out in these coming weeks and months to see for myself if it is something that is actually able to increase my overall productivity and my adherence to my goals and protocols, etc. So we'll see in the coming weeks if it is something efficacious, and if so, I'll be sure to share with you guys, as with you all rather, to see if it's something that's helpful for you. So with that being said, we can go to the Q&A portion. So at this time, there's actually no one in the live stream. So we're going to go ahead and skip over the Q&A. So to save the people that are watching the live replay some time, but to go on to discuss a really big development that I am super, super pumped about. So two main things have happened since we last were on the live stream. The first of which is that I have reached out to my first financial institution. So I'm meeting with a banker and one of the small business consultants at the Bank of Tampa this coming Thursday. I'm going to be talking to them about my business plan, the protocol, and my overall investment thesis that I'm bringing to the startup community to see, one, if they see any validity in it, which I think they will, and number two, to see if the validity of my plan with the SBA model. And the SBA is a small business association loan that you can get through a financial institution that is backed by the government. So that type of loan, banks are more willing to lend in a more entrepreneurial sense due to the decreased risk because of the backing by the federal government. So that is something that I'm really excited about, because that's one of the core pillars of my overall plan, is to use SBA as leverage to purchase the first insurance agency. So we'll see how that goes. Additionally, I want to go ahead and start to form a relationship with the Bank of Tampa to inquire, are you guys in lending mode? Do you typically give loans out to the insurance agency sector? How do you feel about acquiring insurance agencies and being, part of the financial commercial lender source in the financing stack? So we'll see. I'm very confident they're gonna go for it, but we'll see, and I'll report back. Number two, that's something that happened literally just today that I'm super pumped about, is that I gave my first ever pitch. I was able to show my pitch deck to a senior manager of the operations of a startup that literally recently acquired over $300 million in funding for their endeavor, which for me is super exciting because of the fact that, one, I was able to put my business thesis and investment thesis into the market for feedback. Two, it was validated as being valid, interesting, and compelling. And three, I was able to present to someone with financial and business background, something that I personally currently lack. And they not only gave me a lot of guidance and instruction, but they also validated my overall thesis, which to me gives me even more confidence of the success of this project, which is something I've always believed in. But to get even further validation is super empowering and super motivating, and I feel even more galvanized to continue to fight the good fight and push on forward. So with that being said, I'm super excited to come back next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern to report back with the results from my consultation. And going from there, the next step, the primary objective in this phase is going to be to start to build the board of directors for the company. I'm going to start up top with the board so that I'm able to have guidance to supplement me in my blind spots so that we can go forward and have an increased likelihood of success. So overall, I'm pumped for how things are going. I'm very excited for where I am mentally, spiritually, etc. in regards to this project. I'm really excited to bring something new to the insurance industry and to have a chance to really become a part of this, entrepreneurial journey and community. And yeah, to hopefully be an inspiration for future generations to come. So with that being said, thank you all who are watching the replay, and I will see you guys next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Bye-bye.